So I want to talk about the fight that, for me, really reinvigorated the heavyweight division. This is, to me, when the new era of heavyweight boxing started, and I remember it very well. Now, I want to say some honourable mentions here, okay? Um, Tyson Fury beating Vladimir Klitschko. Lots of people think that's when the new era of heavyweight boxing started, this new exciting era. And I disagree. The fight wasn't particularly exciting, although I was literally jumping for joy that Tyson Fury had dethroned Vladimir Klitschko. And he'd done it under such harsh circumstances where he had gloves that weren't comfortable. His dad had to scream at Bunter to let him examine Vladimir Klitschko's hand wraps. They had the 4 inches of foam under the canvas. They managed to get half of it removed, thankfully. They had all these things going against them, and Tyson Fury still dethroned Vladimir Klitschko, and it was a great night. But to me, that's not when the heavyweight division was reinvigorated and started again. Lots of people say Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko, which I understand the argument for, but Klitschko had already been dethroned. His era of invincibility had gone. This was in Anthony Joshua's hometown of London. Although you could say reinvigorate British boxing, because after that British boxing boomed, that's not the whole division. That's not showing that there's talent and that they can fight each other and we have exciting nights. And after that, Anthony Joshua became quite boring, quite honestly, whereas Tyson Fury, really, other than the Chisora fight, he's been more exciting as his career has gone along, other than a few fights where it's not been so exciting, but his career is just getting more and more exciting, to be honest with you. Another honourable mention that people don't mention, people don't talk about, is David Haye versus Derek Chisora. I thought that was an excellent fight. There were, I think it was 60,000 in attendance. They did it in a stadium. The build-up was amazing. And at the time, it was the fight to make in the division. But unfortunately, Chisora had 3 losses in the last year. Although he didn't deserve to lose to Robert Helenius, he had just lost to Tyson Fury convincingly and Vitaly Klitschko. As well as this, David Haye's last fight was a stinker against Vladimir Klitschko, in which he lost. To me, this wasn't the revival of the heavyweight division. Now, a fight that I think may have really marked the revival is Tyson Fury versus David Haye. Now, obviously, that fight didn't happen. We know why, and actually, I believe David Haye. I believe he was injured. To me, it's quite quite obvious he was injured. He took 2 years off. He was injured. Oh, sorry, David Haye versus Tyson Fury. I think I said David Haye versus Klitschko. Tyson Fury versus David Haye. I think that would have been... I think that may have sparked the revival in many people's eyes. But to me, and I said it when it happened, it's Tyson Fury versus Steve Cunningham. Now, you have to understand that the heavyweight division was devoid of talent. We had David Haye, and that was it. From 2009 to 2011. It wasn't until Tyson Fury beat Derek Chisora that people thought, maybe he could catch Klitschko while he's old and give him a good fight. But no one was really picking him. He was seen as a circus act. Even after the Chisora fight, where because Chisora came in very overweight, so lots of people said, I remember this vividly, and I was one of them, an in-shape Derek Chisora would have beaten Tyson Fury. Fury then went on to have impressive performances. I believe the Kevin Johnson fight was before the Steve Cunningham fight, but he beat Martin Rogan, fought him southpaw. And even though that's an impressive thing to do, people said, well, it's Martin Rogan. Doesn't mean anything. Whereas David Haye, for example, his best win at heavyweight was against Nikolai Valuev. Would David Haye have beaten Martin Rogan so comfortably if David Haye had boxed southpaw? I doubt it. This to me is when Tyson Fury showed really what he's made of. He fought Steve Cunningham, 6'3", 210 pounds, ripped, in Tyson Fury's own words. Now, I picked Fury to grind Cunningham down and knock him out, and that's what he did. But Tyson Fury, especially in hindsight, showed unbelievable ring IQ in that fight. He was getting comprehensively outboxed in the first couple of rounds and dropped in the second round. And he realised, I'm not winning this fight, boxing this guy, because Steve Cunningham had a very, very good in and out game. He could put pressure on you and move out into the side. He was very good at it. Better, in my view, than David Haye. And so what did Tyson Fury do? He starts beating on his chest, goading Steve Cunningham to fight him. After the first round, I believe it was, he pushes Steve Cunningham into a corner, into the ropes, to try and goad him to come at him, because he realised early on he cannot win this fight boxing long, at least not win it comfortably. When he got dropped in that second round, he got up, put his hands up, and just grinded Steve Cunningham down, and they went to war. After the fight, Tyson Fury was interviewed in the ring, and they said, Tyson, what do you see here? They're showing the knockdown. He says, that's Tyson Fury, super sexy as always. He gets hit by the punch and dropped, and he says, yeah, I slipped. But he said it tongue-in-cheek. You knew he was joking. He then took the mic and sang. I can't remember which song he sang for the life of me, but he sang. This was after beating a legitimate cruiserweight world champion, somebody who David Haye really should have fought at cruiserweight, somebody who may have beaten David Haye, especially at cruiserweight. He got up, took the microphone, and he sang in front of an American crowd, showing he didn't care about any hostility. He just didn't care about anything. He had the utmost confidence that he could come to America and beat a former world champion. A guy who was aesthetically in great condition, although he had conditioning flaws. Steve Cunningham, I mean, he looked intimidating as far as I'm concerned. And he showed that he had amazing ring IQ and wherewithal. People forget the circumstance, and I forgot to mention it. Tyson Fury's trainer wasn't allowed in America. I can't remember who trained him. Was it his cousin? Was it his other... No, it wasn't his other nephew, his Uncle Huey. I believe he'd passed away already. I'm not sure who trained him. And Tyson Fury didn't look in the best shape of his life at that fight either. But Tyson Fury versus Cunningham was an exceptionally exciting fight. I remember after the fight, people were just saying how exciting that was. People in America saying, wow, that's amazing, that's what we've been looking for. And even though Tyson Fury wasn't perceived as a world beater, and Steve Cunningham was never expected to beat the likes of Klitschko, it showed that all we needed was two people willing to go to war with close to equal amounts of skill and tenacity, and that we would have great fights ahead of us. The landscape of the heavyweight division completely changed. We understood at that point, us younger boxing fans, that even though the likes of David Price had lost to Tony Thompson twice, as long as he had tenacity and power, as it is the heavyweight division, he could pull off an upset. And we almost saw that years later when he hurt Alexander Povetkin and nearly got himself a shot at the world title. We understood at that point that the heavyweight division is erratic. Somebody can hit the canvas, whack their head on the canvas, hit by the cleanest overhand right you're going to see whilst caught square, and still get up and grind them down and knock them out in the heavyweight division. Thank you very much. You have yourself a good day. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, and tell me what you think. Thank you.